Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. This video is about the recent provocations that I have endured. And to help you understand what's going on, think about certain Jews and certain white people in France and certain token minorities to help them out. And they're making mocker faces and they're provoking people. They don't like the thought of other people being seen as important. A lot of them are from old money families in Europe, England, France, wherever the hell they're from, okay, Scotland. And they want their groups to be the center of attention. So they mock other people. One explanation of what mocking means that I found over the years was to prevent, right? To mock, to prevent. So it wasn't just to make fun of, to imitate, what have you, but also to try to prevent something from occurring. And so these people use military grade psychology to provoke me. And historically, they didn't want people to look up to great black warriors who have a very profound and spiritual way about them that goes far beyond Mandela and also beyond Martin Luther King, right? They did not want people to look up to these African martial arts. If we look at the history of the slave trade and you look at specifically the parts of it that has to do with martial arts, African martial arts, for example, what would become Brazilian capoeira was first African martial arts, right? It was more spiritual and deep. And when it went to Brazil, it got watered down because of the interference that came from being in another country, that came from slavery, what have you. So the people on duty right now, their orders, from what I gather, are to, from the Satanists giving their orders, are to kind of provoke me. So when I talked about various issues that have to do with why there's so many homeless people, poverty, unemployment, untreated mental illness, addiction, domestic abuse, low wage jobs, cultural issues, the psychological effects of various things, the cost of living, what have you, right? Poor governance. And I talked about how it's a racial issue. They immediately were triggered into kind of leveling a lot of verbal abuse at me and trying to threaten me. And that caused me to make a few clips where I start talking about how what they're doing is like inciting a race war. And I make the difference, the distinction between somebody who is a white guy, say it's a neo-Nazi, and they know that there's some more money going into snaps or some into homelessness. A lot of these people know homeless people and they're homeless themselves, okay? And how that doesn't make them want to attack people of color. But when somebody of color who is very passionate about solving these issues, who knows that they disproportionately affect people of color, are being told that it's not a racial issue and they're being threatened subtly and otherwise, that it makes them want to hurt somebody. And it makes other people who are aware of it want to hurt somebody, okay? And so oftentimes you get these white racists who are like, so what? You can't take us all on. And I pointed out that most white people do not want any race wars in America. So they're not speaking on the majority of white people. And also, quite often, these guys like the Aryan Brotherhood and various hate groups, they get locked up. White society has communicated that they do not agree with, in terms of white society as like the vast majority of white people in America, for example, they don't agree with the radical white supremacists in this country, okay? So I did what was practical and logical, and I said, the answer here is very simple, right? The white people themselves need to be pressured to crack down on these radicals, especially if they're rich, and in a way that's consistent with, human rights, what have you, okay? And that God and I are partially judging the white and Jewish community and the LGBT community based on how well they come together and crack down on the radicals in their groups who are trying to provoke these race wars. Now, the issue here isn't whether or not a race war is going to start. Almost certainly is not going to start. I'd be surprised if it did, right? The issue is that they're provoking me to the extreme. And there are people that flip out and shoot up people. Some are white supremacists. Some are people of color. And everyone here in America knows at this point in 2026 that people fear black people in the streets far, far, far more than white people. If you were in any major city in America, right, New York, Los Angeles, what have you, and you said that white people are feared on the streets more than people of color, you would be the laughing stock of that city. So I'm not moved in the slightest. The gang members aren't moved in the slightest. The black police officers who arrest white racist people all the time aren't moved in the slightest. Okay, the white people in the community who don't like racists making them look bad, they're not moved in the slightest. Okay, your arguments are pathetic. And I hope that the white Jew and LGBT communities do the right thing and crack down on you people thoroughly. Okay? And I don't care if they do it within the boundaries of the law, as long as they do it within the boundaries of justice. And we already see a certain potential for all the prison gangs to get together and to take on the white prison gang. So they're hanging on by a thin thread, and those white hate groups guys in prison would appreciate if you people shut the fuck up, because the prisons nationwide are majority people of color, and Donald Trump has been pushing it to the extreme. So there's that potential. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. But there's also that potential. So when you run your mouth like you run the whole show and that's all there is to it, like I should be afraid of you when I'm the top martial artist ever possible and the son of God, I'm going to respond like this and much, much better, much more effectively. Okay? You people and your families are scared of God and I are not scared of you. Again, you people and your families are terrified. You are horrified. You are shaking in your boots or slipping into fanatic, coward states of denial where you pretend that God magically doesn't exist. Okay? Because you are scared to death. I'm not. And it is annoying when you people try to intimidate me. So I thought I'd fill in my viewers, the big brother, whoever's listening, on what is going on and why this was said, and any police officers that might come across me. Why is he saying this? Why is he saying? I'm not making physical threats to people. I'm pointing out facts. I have no intention to harm people's flesh unless the situation makes sense, unless it's universally logical and moral and just and fair and right to do so. Now, when we see the issue of homelessness, right, it's not an issue of whether or not America can afford to end homelessness, or whether it would crash the economy, whether everyone would start saying, hey, why should I work if I have a house? Because they still have to afford, health care, basic products, clothes. They just want to impress women. There's so many reasons why they would still get a job anyway, right? When homeless people don't pay rent in some tent on the side of the road, do they not try to get money and resources? They do, okay? And a lot of them are working, okay? So it's not a matter of those things. It's a matter of whether or not you think you should massacre the poor and disproportionately people of color at high rates at that, mind you, okay, while denying them the basic components of universal social justice. So as we look at this situation and what I've said in this video so far, you can see that it's fair. These other videos I'm going to upload it anyway, I'm going to release anyway, upload and release. They might alarm people a little bit because I said in a way that was a bit more full of anger, because that was when I made those videos was before this video, and it was right about the time that they were provoking me to the extreme. And keep in mind, they've been fuming me and doing things to try to reduce reservations and inhibitions in regards to verbal retaliation, etc. Okay, so what are the differences between my system, which is universal pinpointing moral precision, and the so-called white man's system, which is a system of evil? Well, what happened when they tried to force everyone into their system, right? In Nazi Germany, in America, what have you. Well, people were like, that's not fair. And they started cooking the books, and they called them out and said, you're cooking the books. Where in my system, it's morally precise. They have no viable counterargument to the rules that I would enforce, the rules that I would pass and enforce. And so you get these kind of demonic, kind of redneck white people. You get these ruffian occult Jews, these crazy gay people who've harassed me a whole lot today, who like to gaslight people. The word gaslight is a play on words for gaze light. Look it up. I mean, ask a gay occultist if that's the case. Behind the scenes, they'll probably agree with you. They'll probably say that's the case. But publicly, they'll probably deny it. And we all know that, the gay parade, they're gaslighting you. Right? They're pretending that it's not this display of childishness, that it's not this display of recklessness when it is. And I'm not trying to insult the gay community. Yeah, I'm telling you the facts here. So they're gaslighting. When you have these gay preachers in church, you have these liberal churches, these conservative churches, they're all LGBT churches, right? It's like that movie Harold and Kumar, where they said he's the gay guy because, well, I'll leave that alone. To make a long story short, okay, they're all satanic institutions. Period. And the white man's colonialism came with the churches. There's one guy said that, 80% of positions of power in this country are occupied by straight white Christian males. Well, so, being straight is a good thing. Okay? Being a hypocrite and a racial supremacist and part of a satanic organization that parades like they're, people of God is a very bad thing. So when it comes to, say, female sovereignty and dating, they're way off the mark here. And a lot of females like to complain about males. So where do they come from? Did the stork bring them? Did not a female choose to have sex with a guy to the point where they get pregnant and have the child and be the main one who raised them, while their fathers were off at work? And then they want to leave the house and go to the workplace so they can blame society and blame the male. Okay, so both the parents failed, right? And some statistics show us there's like 700,000 sexual assaults a year. That's 2,000 a day, give or take. So where do these rapists come from? Who's raising these rapists? What kind of females are raising these rapists to not care about raping a female? And some are setting guys up to rape them, believe it or not. That's part of the psyops that we're seeing going on. Some are lying about being raped. I mean, it is way out of hand here. 2.7%. 3.4 million females alive right now, okay, are said to have been to be made pregnant from rape. 1 in 33. Does that number sound familiar? 33rd, right? 33rd degree. I just saw it. I'll put it on the screen here. So how do we correct this situation when we live in a society where there's people controlling the cultures and social relations? They're controlling in so many ways, right? The media, social media, all these cults and corporate groups, political groups, they're controlling who talks to who, these corporations, who gets what job and who works with who, on and on and on. The churches, the mosques, the synagogues, the different religious groups. They're obviously controlling things because they want lots of females to get raped, and they want to control who rapes them, their allies, what have you. And these females keep playing into their hands, so they don't know what they're doing. The guys don't know what they're doing. The females don't know what they're doing. And they think if they cause me to stumble my words, then magically you should follow the rapist and not the Son of God. It's insane, right? It's insane. Serapis, their false image of Christ, is rape is scrambled. Pirates, right? Skull and bones. Pirate is rapist scrambled. The wordplay. To put it on a piece of paper. Do it yourself. Prepare, pre-rape, compare, mock rape, consent. And they're mocking females like, hey, it's right there in the wordplay, and you keep choosing the rape by deception scoundrel. So how would you adjust this situation? If you were a mature person, you'd put a lamp on its stand, not a gaslight light on its stand, but the true light of God, universal pinpoint and moral precision. And all the other cultures and all the other religions would cease. That is what is logical, like Asa in the Bible. Is that my plan? No, I don't think people are anywhere near smart enough or responsible enough to do something so profoundly good. I don't believe they will. So some redneck go, I wish you would. Look, you're going to die and go to hell. I'm Jesus. Sit down and shut up. Like I got to explain this. Some racist fool. Does he want to go point by point about whose genes are superior? No. He's better off shutting the fuck up, right? Zip it. Obviously, his spirit is crushed. What do you call it when I make it clear that I'm a man and there's some kind of punk and they have no counter argument? That means their spirit, no matter how tough they want to act, crushed, trampled, defeated. There's no other way to look at it. Change his voice now. Change his voice. You want to be in that spirit? The spirit of being defeated and crying about change his voice and edit his videos? That's some bitch made shit. That is bitch made. Not divinely made to be a man. That is fucking bitch made. No other way to look at it. So when you look at the solution, when everyone's acting like a dumb bitch, male and female alike, except for me, parents are blameless, what have you, the solution is a drastic intervention. They're not mature enough to date in a way that's responsible. They don't live and die for what's right. And they raise their damn kids to follow in their cowardly rape-called footsteps. It's a fucking disgrace. Try to make it so he sounds gay. Why we're raping everybody, guys? Come on. It is fucking pathetic. So yes, I would take away sovereignty from every fucking buddy. And I give it to God where it belongs. And not in your sniveling churches, but to the one person in all of American history that has obeyed God, and that's me.